Hello everyone, welcome to the Stalwart Initiative. Today we're back with another Unearthed Arcana review. This time we're here with Unearthed Arcana 2020, Psionic Options Revisited. This is another iteration of Psionics in its integration into 5th edition. We did have, a couple years ago, we had the Mystic whole class introduced, and apparently that didn't go over the greatest with reviews. So now they're bringing us a slew of psionic options that aren't mostly restricted to one class, which is nice. So they give us, in this Unearthed Arcana, they're going to give us 3 subclasses, psionic-related subclasses, and 3 new psionic-themed spells, and 5 new feats. We'll go over most of the nitty-gritty here, but we are going to just kind of glaze over some of this thematic stuff, explanation, because if you'd like to, you can go and read that in the document. I will put a link in to this Unearthed Arcana in the description below. So it goes to, the first part is, what is psionic power? And then it explains its psionics in earlier editions, and now psionics in 5th edition, and gives nice explanations and some history on that there. And it also adds what is psi in the form of magic, how is it magic, how is it not. It goes into all those explanations, so check that out in the document if you'd like. But I'd rather not have this video 9 hours long, so let's just jump right into the actual mechanics of it. So we're going to go over the subclasses here first, and all of these subclasses introduce something called a Psionic Talent. And the Psionic Talent is basically the currency on how psionics work within these subclasses. So those will all be relatively the same between subclasses, and I'll go over that here at the beginning. So our first subclass is a fighter subclass called the Sai Knight. Awake to the psionic power within. A Sai Knight is a fighter who augments their physical might with psi-infused weapon strikes, telekinetic lashes, and barriers of mental force. Many Githyanki train to become such knights, as do some of the most disciplined high elves. In the world of Athos, renowned gladiators in the arenas of the Sorcerer Kings are often Sai Knights, and in Eberron, the Psionic Kalishtar view memberships in this knighthood as a special honor. As a Sai Knight, you might have honed your psionic abilities through solo discipline, unlocked it under the tutelage of a master, or refined it in an academy dedicated to wielding the mind's power as both weapon and shield. So at 3rd level, when you become the Sai Knight, your first thing is Psionic Talent, and as I mentioned, these are pretty much the same between these 3 subclasses, so I'm really only going to go over the verbiage once. So you harbor a wellspring of psionic power within yourself, an energy that ebbs and flows as you channel it in various ways. This power is represented by your Psionic Talent die, the starting size of which is a D6. And then it says Psionic Talent options, and each of these subclasses will get these Psionic Talent options, but they will be different between the subclasses. And you can use this Psionic Talent die in the following ways for the Sai Knight. Now, before I go on to describe how the Sai Knight uses this Psionic Talent die, let's go down to this changing the die size. And this is also in each subclass, but I'm going to go over it once here for up front with you, and then it'll be the same between subclasses. So if you roll the highest number on your Psionic Talent die, which starts at a D6 when you get this subclass at level 3, or when you get any of these subclasses, it starts out as a D6. When you roll the highest number on the die, it decreases by 1 die size after the roll. This represents you burning through your psionic energy. For example, if the die is a D6 and you roll a 6, it becomes a D4. If it's a D4 and you roll a 4, it becomes unusable until you finish a long rest. Conversely, if you roll a 1 on your Psionic Talent die, it increases by 1 die size after the roll, up to its starting size. This represents you conserving psionic energy for later use. For example, if you roll a 1 on a D4, the die then becomes a D6. Whenever you finish a long rest, your Psionic Talent die resets to its starting size. When you reach certain levels in this class, the starting size of your Psionic Talent die increases. So at 5th level, it increases to a D8, At 11th level, it increases to a D6, and at 17th level, it increases to a D12. And now each subclass will also get a feature called Sai Replenishment. And as a bonus action, you can calm your mind for a moment and restore your Psionic Talent die to its starting size. You then can't use Sai Replenishment again until you finish a long rest. So to kind of wrap that all into one, each of these subclasses will start with a Psionic Talent die of a D6 until you get to 5th level, and then that'll bump up to a D8. A lot of features allow you to roll the Psionic Talent die to use the feature. And if you roll the highest number on whatever die you currently are on, that will decrease the size of the die, as though you rolled so high, you burnt so much energy that now you need to like back off, and you have a lesser pool of energy. And the opposite goes if you roll a 1 on any of these Psionic Talent dies, it will act as though you only used a little bit of energy, so now you can kind of bank the rest and increase your die size to use for later. I like it. It sounds a little confusing at first, but if you roll it out a few times, it's really not as confusing as it sounds at first. But yeah, so you start out as a D6, and with this subclass, that'll be at level 3. When you become a Psi Knight, you get a D6 as your Psionic Talent die. And as I mentioned, every subclass will get the Sai Replenishment feature. So basically, it allows you to reset to your starting size once per long rest. So that's cool. You can burn through all your dice, your Psionic Talent dice, and then still be able to reset it back to its starting size. Very useful. Allows you to get some more longevity out of it. Okay, now let's get to the features, now that I explained that. And okay, so our first feature as a Psi Knight is Protective Field. When you or another creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to roll your Psionic Talent die and reduce the damage taken by the number rolled plus your intelligence modifier, minimum reduction of 1, as you create a momentary shield of telekinetic force. This is nice. So anytime you have your reaction available, you can reduce damage to an ally or to any creature within 30 feet of you. And you roll the dice, and that plus your intelligence modifier. So much like the Eldritch Knight, this fighter, you kind of want to put some points into your intelligence to help some of the features in this subclass. So it'll be that the number rolled plus your intelligence modifier. And as I explained, if you roll a 6 on that roll, that's great. You reduce a lot more damage, but then your die size goes down because you expelled so much energy, and vice versa if you roll a 1. So your second feature at level 3 is your Psi-powered leap. When you make a high or long jump, you can roll your Psionic Talent die and extend the distance of the jump up to a number of feet equal to twice the number rolled plus twice your intelligence modifier, minimum of 1 extra foot. This extra distance costs you only 1 foot of movement. So you're charging your physicality up to make this leap, either a tall leap or a long leap, and you use 1 foot of your leap to infuse it with this. So you're always going to come out on top because you're going to get a minimum of 1 out of your intelligence modifier. So even if it is 0, you still get a minimum of 1, and you get to double that. So you're getting a minimum of 2, actually a minimum of 4, because twice the number on your Psionic Talent die, and that has to be at least 1. So you're getting a minimum of 2 from your die, and a minimum of 2 from your intelligence modifier. So you're getting at least 3 extra feet on your jump, possibly quite a bit more. So that's nice. That's a nice utility thing that you can use for exploration. Very cool. Very cool. So the last feature at level 3 you get with the Psi Knight is the Telekinetic Strength. You can propel your attacks with telekinetic force. Once on each of your turns immediately after you deal damage to a target within 30 feet of you with a weapon attack, you can roll your Psionic Talent die and also deal force damage to that target equal to the number rolled. Great. Another roll of the Psionic Talent die. Adding extra damage is always nice. The fact that it is force damage, yes. The fact that it is force damage is also nice because very few things have resistance to it. And you only get to do it once per turn or per on your turn, that's okay. It's extra damage, and it will scale a little bit with your level because your psionic talent die has got to go up. Pretty nice little feature, and that does change a little bit later here, so that'll help. Awesome. And then it goes on to the description of changing the die size, which we already went over, and that's your level 3 features with the Sai Knight. Here's your level 7, the Telekinetic Adept. You have mastered new ways to use your telekinesis. So level 7, you get Psionic Thrust. When you deal damage to a target with your Telekinetic Strike of your Psionic Talent, you can force the target to make a Strength saving throw against a DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. Unless the save succeeds, you can knock the target prone or move it up to 10 feet in any direction horizontally. This is great. This is some battlefield control already baked in to your Telekinetic Strike, like we just had at level 3. So anytime you choose to use your Psionic Talent die with a Telekinetic Strike, you automatically get to opt in on this Telekinetic Thrust feature, which will allow you to either knock them prone or move them in a direction. That's awesome. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It just has them make the save, and it's already in there when you make that Telekinetic Strike. So very cool. Nice little feature. And luckily, it's not the only 7th level feature. So you also get Telekinetic Movement. If your Psionic Talent die is available, you can move an object or a creature with your mind. As an action, you target one loose object that is large or smaller, or one willing creature other than yourself. If you can see the target and it's within 30 feet of you, you can move it up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Alternatively, if it is a tiny object, you can move it to or from your hand. Either way, you can move the target horizontally, vertically, or both. When you take this action, your Psionic Talent die decreases by 1 size. So, off the bat, this is a different way of currency to use your Psionic Talent die. So, up until now, we've been rolling it to see how high or low it's going to be, and it'll adjust size according to that. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn that little cooler off. It'll change size according to that. In this, it straight up decreases the size of the die when you use this feature, although the feature is better. So it's kind of, you get to roll it and get more uses out of it, or you can just straight up do an ability like this and decrease the size automatically. But this ability is very, very good. So you can not only move objects of large or smaller, which can be a lot of objects are large or smaller. You not only get to move that with your telekinesis, but you can also move allies around the battlefield, and that can be crucial. Even in exploration, you can't get to this certain point across this 30-foot gap or up 30 feet high. You can move an ally up there to get to a formerly unaccessible point. So this telekinetic movement is very good. It just is going to require you to reduce the size of your die immediately to use it. But that's okay, because you can do that multiple times per long rest, and you can always have a chance of moving your die back up sizes by rolling it, or using your, what's that feature called? Sai Replenishment feature to reset it back to its starting size anyway. Solid level 7 features. You get more use out of it. It's not just a one and done per long rest. I'm digging it so far. So at level 10, you get Sai Enhanced Metabolism. The psionic energy flowing through you has bolstered your mind and body. You have resistance to poison and psychic damage, and you are immune to the poison condition. I like this. As a fighter, you really want as many defensive stats as you can get, and being resistant to poison and psychic, poison is great, because poison damage is everywhere. Being resistant to that is great. Psychic damage isn't as prevalent as poison, but boy, a lot of things that do psychic damage to you do a lot of it. So, good to have those resistances, and immune to the poison condition is really good to have, especially when it's coupled with not just the poison condition, but things that do other effects to you. So that's a solid 10th level feature. It's a passive feature, but it's good to have. At 15th level, you get Bulwark of Force. You can shield yourself and others with telekinetic force. As a bonus action, you choose creatures, which can include you, that you can see within 30 feet of you, up to a number, scroll up, of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier. Yeah, minimum of one creature. Another reason to have that intelligence modifier up. Each of the chosen creatures is protected by half cover for 1 minute, or until you're incapacitated. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you decrease your psionic talent die by 1 die size to use this feature again. Oh, this is cool. So giving allies, yourself and allies, half cover for a minute, that's a lot of cases, that's an entire battle. That's really good, especially if the things you're fighting are attack heavy, using attack rolls to do it. That's a really good feature. The fact that you can do it to multiple creatures, that's great, especially if you're putting points into your intelligence and getting that modifier up. That's really good. And I love that they're doing this. I've explained this with other subclasses when they do this with spell slots, but the fact that they give you a freebie, they allow you to do this once per long rest, but instead of saying, okay, that's all you get to do, they're giving you the option of being able to burn your psionic talent die and decrease the size to use this more times than just the once per long rest. Awesome, Wizards. I love that they're turning to those alternate methods of allowing you to do things more than just once per long rest, because that's a feels bad whenever you use one of these once per long rest features and then you don't have it again till who knows when, and you need it. Well, you can just burn this talent die or burn a spell slot or whatever the method may be, and you're able to use it again. Love it. So at 18th level, you get Telekinetic Master. Your ability to move creatures and objects with your mind is matched by few. If your psionic talent die is available, you can cast a telekinesis spell requiring no components. Your spellcasting ability for the spell is intelligence, and when you cast this spell, your psionic talent die is decreased by 1 size. So you can now cast a telekinesis spell, which is great. It's a telekinesis, a 5th level spell, and it can be very, very useful in combat and out. And it's a concentration spell, so you can continue to use it with only burning your psionic talent die once, and you can use it for multiple uses as long as you concentrate on it. I think that's great. You are able to cast a spell as a fighter and not be an Eldritch Knight. Pretty cool, and it's a good spell, and it's only decreasing the size of your psionic talent die to do so. And at this point, at 18th level, that psionic talent die is a D12. Starts at a D12 because you got that at 17th level. So the Sigh Knight, I like it. I think it is a well balanced and feature rich, diverse fighter class subclass. I like it. So let's move on to the Rogue. At 3rd level, a Rogue gains the Roguish Archetype. This Roguish Archetype feature of the Soul Knife. Here is the playtest option for that feature. And the Soul Knife. Most assassins strike with physical weapons, and many burglars and spies use thieves' tools to infiltrate secure locations. Whereas a Soul Knife strikes and infiltrates with the mind, cutting through barriers both physical and psychic. These rogues discover psionic power within themselves and channel it to do their roguish work. They find easy employment as members of thieves' guilds, though they are often mistrusted by rogues who are leery of anyone using strange mind powers to conduct their business. And most governments would be happy to employ a Soul Knife as a spy. It goes on to explain some of their doings in different settings, and I'm not going to go over all that. You can read that in the document. For time's sake, I'm going to move on to the features. So at 3rd level, you also get Psionic Talent, which is, we explained thoroughly prior to, and then your Psionic Talent options are Psi Bolstered Knack. When your non-psionic training fails you, you can tap into your psionic power to help. If you fail an ability check using a skill or tool with which you are proficient, with which you have proficiency, you can roll your psionic talent die and add the number rolled to the check, potentially turning failure into success. This is great. You're already, as a rogue, you're already rich in skills, in your skill proficiencies, and this is another way just to further bolster that with your psionic power. My question is, if you have proficiency, I think that's a rarity to have proficiency in initiative. I think you can have advantage in initiative with certain class and subclass features elsewhere. Never mind. I don't think I can recall anything that has proficiency with initiative. If you do, let me know in the comments. But I think there's more so advantage on initiative for certain features. But okay, that's nice. That's a nice thing to have, and you can actually get a lot of mileage out of that. So they only get 2 features for their level 3, which rogues are pretty powerful, so I understand that. But let's see what the other feature is. It's Psychic Whispers. That's with this portion of your Psionic Talent die. You also get a whole other feature, so I guess that washes out. You can use your psychic abilities to establish telepathic communication between yourself and others. Perfect for quiet infiltration. As an action, you give yourself at least one other creature the ability to speak telepathically with each other. When you do so, roll your Psionic Talent die and choose creatures you can see, up to a number of creatures equal to the number rolled. For 1 hour, the chosen creatures can speak telepathically with you, and you can speak telepathically with them. To send or receive a message, no action required, you and the other creature must be within 1 mile of each other. A creature can't use this telepathy if it can't speak any languages, and a creature can't end the telepathic connection, and the creature can end the telepathic connection at any time, no action required. You and the creature don't need to speak a common language to understand each other. So basically, you can create these telepathic links, but the creature has to be able to speak a language, but it doesn't have to speak your language. So that's great. I really wish you could do this with creatures that don't actually speak. That would be kind of cool, because there are several creatures out there that don't actually speak, but can communicate telepathically to begin with. That's cool. And the fact that the range is a mile is pretty nice. That's pretty nice. That means you guys don't have to be 30 feet or 60 feet or whatever within each other. You can actually get some distance away. That's a nice feature. I like that. So the next up, they have the changing of the die size explained again, which we went over before, and your Sai Replenishment, which we went over before. So the other third level feature is Psychic Blades. You can manifest your psionic power as shimmering blades of psychic energy. When you are about to make a melee or ranged weapon attack against a creature, you can manifest a psychic blade from your free hand and make the attack with that blade. This magic blade is a simple melee weapon with the finesse and thrown properties. It has a normal range of 60 feet and no long range. And on a hit, it deals psychic damage equal to 1d6 plus the ability modifier you used for the attack roll. The blade vanishes immediately after it hits or misses its target, and it leaves no mark on its target if it deals damage. After the attack with the blade, you can make a melee attack or ranged weapon attack with a second psychic blade as a bonus action on the same turn, provided your other hand is free to create it. The damage die for this bonus attack is 1d4 instead of 1d6. So it's nice. It's giving you... It's essentially giving you a short sword that you can... a psychic short sword that you can throw, and for your first attack, and if you have another free hand, you can throw it makes like a dagger worth of damage for that attack. I like them. And the fact that they don't leave a mark, they don't leave any signs of how something was killed, and you do it to it. Very, very cool. Very spy, espionage feel to it. I like it. It's pretty cool. And 60-foot range is pretty good, especially if you're throwing them. Try throwing a short sword 60 feet. That's pretty rough. So that's good. It's a nice solid range. There's no short and long range of it. Nice solid 60 feet. Easy to track. Very cool. Very cool. So at 9th level, you get Soul Blades. Your psychic blades are now an expression of your Sai suffused soul, giving you finer control over them in the following ways. So your first feature is Homing Strikes. If you make an attack roll with your Psychic Blades and miss the target, you can roll your Psionic Talent die and add the number rolled to the attack roll. If this causes the attack to hit, your Psionic Talent die decreases by one die size, regardless of the number rolled. So this is cool. This allows you to have better chance to hit, and with rogues, you don't get all the bunch of extra attacks, so better chance to hit with your sneak attack, better chance to hit in general. Very cool, very cool. And it automatically decreases the die size. That's okay. That's it's only if you hit, so that's a good gimme just to make sure you hit. I like it. The other one is Psychic Teleportation. If your Psionic Talent die is available, you can hurl your Psychic Blades to magically transport yourself to another location. As a bonus action, you manifest one of your Psychic Blades and throw it in an unoccupied space you can see up to a number of feet away equal to 5 times the highest number on your Psionic Talent die. You then teleport to that space, the blade vanishes, and your Psionic Talent die decreases by one die size. So this is another one of those, when you use the feature, you automatically decrease the size of the die. But you don't have to roll for this. The distance on this is 5 times the highest number on your die, not 5 times the number rolled, the highest number. So you get this feature at 9th level, and your Psionic Talent die at that point I think is a D8. Yes, at 5th level it becomes a D8. So that's 40 feet. That is 40 feet teleportation. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby, especially in a pinch, and as a bonus action, not too shabby at all. So that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that feature. Those two options at level 9. I enjoy it having multiple options, and those two are pretty good. So at 13th level, you get Psionic Veil. You can weave a veil of psychic static to mask yourself. As an action, you can magically become invisible, along with anything you're wearing or carrying for 10 minutes or until you dismiss this effect. No action required. This invisibility ends if you deal damage to a creature, or if you force a creature to make a saving throw. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you decrease your Psionic Talent die by 1 die size to use this feature again. This is really cool in the fact that this gives you invisibility, a free use of invisibility per long rest, straight up. But it's only 10 minutes, but it's a better form of invisibility, in my opinion, because its only limitations are you can't deal damage to a creature or force a creature to make a saving throw, but you can still cast other spells, you can still do other things that would you're normally limited by with normal invisibility. So you can attack objects, you can shoot arrows off into the corner so that you can get the "what's that?" and distract your enemy, and have them go in a different direction. I like it. I like it. And you get it free per long rest, and if you want to use it more, like I was explaining earlier, it's cool that if you want to use it more than just your freebie, you can do your use your Psionic Talent die, decrease it to do so. So that's cool. Invisibility is always nice to have, and the fact that you don't have to use spell slots to use it, very cool. So your last feature is at 17th level is Rend Mind. You can sweep your Psychic Blades directly through a creature's mind. When you use your Psychic Blades to deal sneak attack damage to a creature, you can force that target to make a Wisdom saving throw. DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your dexterity modifier. Unless the save succeeds, the target is stunned until the end of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you decrease your Psychic Talent die by 1 die size to use this feature again. Stunning creatures is always good. It's always good, and until the end of your next turn. Man, that's really good. So you're basically doing a stunning strike. You can do it from ranged, and you do it when you do sneak attack damage. So you're doing a crap ton of damage to them and stunning them if they fail to save. So that can be really, really good. Nice 17th level feature. So both the Soul Knife and the Sai Knight, both looking good in my opinion so far. So let's move on to our last subclass, the Psionic Soul Sorcerer. And you get this at level 1, not 3rd level like the other ones. So, one day a light blazed forth within you, the illumination of psionic power. Your mind now simmers with this power, the full extent of which you won't fully grasp for years to come. You can touch other minds with it and alter the world around you by using it to control the magical energy of the multiverse. Will this power shine from you as a hopeful beacon to others, or you be a source of terror to those who feel the stab of your mind and witness the strange manifestations of your might? And it goes on to explain some of the lore stuff from Feywild, Far Realms, stuff like that. So I'll skip over that. You can check that out in the document. It also gives you this, I like these whole origin things they've been doing. You can roll a d10, and it's got different things for you to draw inspiration from, or randomly to determine how you got this psionic origin. I like this. Gives you 10 of those right there to go off of. So let's jump into the features. At level 1, you get your Psionic Talent, much like the other subclasses. And with your Psionic Talent, you can do things like the first feature, Psionic Discovery. You can unlock the ability to cast a mind-oriented sorcerer spell you don't already know. After meditating for 10 minutes, which can be done during a rest, roll your Psionic Talent die and choose a sorcerer spell of a level for which you have spell slots and that is in the school of divination or enchantment. You know the chosen spell for a number of hours equal to the number rolled. This is cool because this allows you to access spells that you don't have, that you don't know, and everybody knows that sorcerers, the downfall for them, or not necessarily downfall, but the caveat for them is they don't know that many spells. So this allowing you to know even temporary, no additional spells is very nice, and you get to pick them out of those two schools. Very cool, very cool. A little bit limited at first, but that expands as you level up and gain access to higher level spells. So pretty cool. Psychic Sorcery. When you cast, the second feature in this is when you cast a spell, you can use your mind to form it, rather than relying on words, gestures, and materials. To do so, roll your Psionic Talent die. The spell then requires no verbal component, and you roll the spell and if you roll the level of the spell or higher, the spell doesn't require semantic or material components. So a couple things to this. It gives you like that subtle spell that you would normally have to use your meta magic for. It's kind of like a subtle spell feature. And also to note, the fact that you can possibly, especially if you're rolling and getting lower level spells or using lower level spells, possibly not require semantic and material components. This can be pretty beneficial as you begin to cast a little bit higher level spells, and your die gets larger and you have a higher chance of rolling a higher number on it. Such spells as Revivify, if you have multi-classed into like Cleric or something else that requires material components like diamonds and things that would have a cost to them, I think you would be able to do that without using that, having to have that material component. Super useful. So your third first level feature is Telepathic Speech. You can form a telepathic connection between your mind and the mind of another. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see and roll your Psionic Talent die. For a number of hours equal to the number you rolled, you and the chosen creature can speak telepathically with each other, while the two of you are within a number of miles of each other equal to the number you rolled. To understand each other, you each must speak mentally in a language the other knows. The telepathic connection ends early if you use this ability to form a connection with another creature. So this one's a little different than the rogues. You only get to do this with one creature, but you get a higher distance because you get a number of miles equal to the number rolled. But you both have to understand a language that each other speaks. So not only you can't use this with a creature that doesn't speak a language, and you each have to share a language. So it's pretty limiting. This one's pretty limiting. I do enjoy that you can be a number of miles away. That's pretty cool. It makes for some great gameplay options, but it's pretty limiting. I'd like to see that tweaked a little bit, but it's still useful nonetheless. So okay, next up at level 6, you get Psychic Strike. You have learned to channel additional psychic energy into your spells. Immediately after you deal damage to a creature with a Sorcerer spell for which you expend a spell slot, you can roll your Psionic Talent die and also deal psychic damage to that creature equal to the number rolled. You deal this damage. You deal this extra damage once per turn. This is again another extra damage feature, and I mean it's nice to have. And this doesn't automatically burn the die, so there's no reason to not do this, frequently. So extra damage is extra damage. Not a whole lot of prerequisites there. Very nice. That's a nice level 6 ability. Maybe like to see a little something more flavorful out of it, but still nice to have. So at 14th level, you get Mind Over Body. You can now use the Sigh that flows through you to give your body extraordinary abilities. As a bonus action, you can roll your Psionic Talent die and spend 1 or more sorcery points to magically transform yourself for a number of hours equal to the number you rolled. Until the transformation ends, you gain one of the following benefits of your choice for each sorcery point you spend, choosing a different benefit for each point. So this feature not only allows you to roll the die to get the feature, but you can get multiple features using sorcery points. Another use of sorcery points, which is nice. Let's check out the features. So you can see any invisible creature within 60 feet of you, provided it isn't behind total cover. You gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed, and you can hover. You gain a swimming speed equal to twice your walking speed, and you can breathe underwater. Your body, along with any equipment you are wearing or carrying, becomes pliable, and you can move through any space as narrow as 1 inch without squeezing, and you can spend 5 feet of movement to escape from non-magical restraints or being grappled. So this is nice. This allows you to escape or squeeze through things. That could be pretty cool thematically. You kind of just turn into like Mr. Fantastic and kind of squeeze through things. That's pretty cool. Making you an expert swimmer and able to breathe underwater, giving you a fly speed and hover, being able to see anything invisible with 60 feet. That's a pretty decent distance. These are all pretty good features. I really wish you could get one use out of it without having to burn a sorcery point, but that's okay. The fact that you could theoretically do all 4 of these, wow, that's a lot of features, and you can pick and choose between them, which is nice. So your last feature for this sorcerer is the Psychic Aura. If your Psionic Talent die is available, you can unleash your psionic power in a crackling aura of psychic energy as a bonus action. You can magically radiate this transparent 30-foot radius aura for 1 minute, or until you're incapacitated, or lose the use of your Psionic Talent die. Whenever a creature starts its turn in the aura or moves into it for the first time on a turn, you can roll your Psionic Talent die and deal psychic damage to the creature, equaling the number rolled, the roll plus your charisma modifier. If the creature takes any of this damage, its speed is halved until the start of its next turn. So the damage itself isn't immense. The number rolled plus your charisma modifier. Yeah, the damage isn't immense, but the aura is big. It lasts a while. You're using it as a bonus action, and it halves their speed. I think that is crucial too. So a pretty nice aura. Yeah. I think it's a nice 18th level feature. Nothing too crazy, but it does give you multiple uses. It has a big area and it lasts a while, so that's okay. That's pretty cool. The Psionic Soul Sorcerer, I think, is cool. I like it. Probably not as much as the other 2, but I do like all 3 subclasses. And you know what? I think let's wrap it there. It's quite long to begin with. We'll go over the spells and feats in the next video. So thank you so much for joining me. Wow, this was long to begin with. Thank you so much for joining me, going over these subclasses, and I'll see you all next time on to finish up the spells and feats. Have a good one.